Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Go Lumio webinar series, where we are providing learning opportunities to highlight Lumio's engaging and collaborative tools. Our Getting Started sessions are designed to give you a beginner's view into Lumio and help you on your Lumio journey. My name is Dima, and I am a Customer Success Manager from Florida. Today's webinar, Getting Started with Lumio, features Asha, also a Customer Success Manager from Florida. We encourage participation. I'll be supporting you in the chat if you have any questions or ideas you'd like to share. At the end of today's webinar, additional resources will be shared in the chat. Also, for participating today, a certificate will be provided after you complete a brief survey. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Asha so that we can get started with today's webinar, Getting Started with Lumio.
Thank you for that introduction, Dima, and thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to our webinar. As Dima mentioned, in today's session, we'll be focused on giving you a beginner's view into Lumio. So if you just started using the platform, you are in the right place. With our Getting Started sessions, we always like to start off by just providing an overview of Lumio, because we know that some people here might not have used Lumio before. So Lumio is a digital learning tool that you can use to transform your lessons into interactive, collaborative experiences for your students. And it allows you to take your lesson from just being on your smart panel or front of room display, and gives you the opportunity to actually push it out to student devices. So you can engage them right from the device that's in their hands. In today's webinar, you'll hear a little bit about the 5 steps of getting started with Lumio. There are 5 steps that we encourage and have laid out for those of you that are getting started with the platform. And you can see them listed out here, and we'll touch on these in today's session. We'll show you how to get started by maybe importing a resource that you already have, or starting with something as simple as our digital manipulatives. We'll also show you how to enhance your lesson by maybe adding a game-based activity. Going on to the engagement piece, we'll show you how you can engage your learners with the activities in Lumio by converting them into an individual activity or an activity that they can collaborate on with their peers. And then to wrap it all up, we'll show you how to deliver your lesson and then share that lesson with maybe a teammate or even with your students for them to access outside of class. So with that being said, I think it's time for us to actually get started. And we want to encourage you all to sign into Lumio. And we're going to be creating a mini lesson in the session today. So if you would like to follow along and create with us, please feel free to do so. Dima will provide a link in the chat that you can click on and get signed in, or you can go to golumio.com. And I'll actually model that on the screen for you. Just going to end my lesson here and pull up an incognito window. All right, so I can see Dima has placed the link in the chat. Thank you, Dima. Just gonna steal that and bring it on over here. And if you use that link that Dima shared with you all in the chat, you will be taken to a page that looks just like what I'm showing on my screen. And you'll have the option to sign in as a teacher or sign up for free if you don't already have an account. Once you select the teacher sign in or the sign up option, you'll be given the ability to choose between signing in with Google or Microsoft. Now, if this is your first time, once you do sign in, there will be a few prompts for you to respond to let us know if you're an adult or a minor, and also what part of the world you're getting connected from. But after you've done that for the first time, you won't have to do it again, and you'll be taken to your Lumio homepage which would look similar to mine. Once you are on your Lumio homepage, there are a few things to look out for. You'll probably see some icons and different sections that you can explore. So I'll give you a brief overview of those areas before we start creating. I like to start off uh, from left to right. So over on the left side of your screen, you'll see a couple buttons there. New is actually what we'll be exploring in a few moments. That is what you would click when you're ready to create a lesson or a file in Lumio. And then right next to that, you have the import button, which allows you to import resources that you already have. So if maybe there is a PDF or PowerPoint that you already have saved to your computer and you want to bring that into Lumio to make more interactive, you could do so with that button. Those of you that are signed in with Google, you also have a connection to your drive that would allow you to access files and bring them in to Lumio. Moving up to the center, you'll notice that you are in your personal library. And then there's also the option for Lumio Library, which is where you can find content that's already been created. All of these resources here are free for you to use. You can scroll through and check out the different categories, or if you're looking for something specific, you can type in the search bar at the top. Any resource that you find here can be previewed, and also you can save it to your library so that you can use it with your learners. When you are ready to return to your personal collection of files, you would just click back on My Library, and again, you'll be taken to that Lumio homepage. Transitioning from the center over to the right side of the screen, you'll notice you have a graduation cap. That graduation cap can be found all throughout Lumio, and you'll see some later on when we're creating. When you see this graduation cap, you're able to click on it and it provides you with support. So with the different features in Lumio, you can click on that and it gives you a video that shows you how to use that particular tool or feature. And here on the Lumio homepage, it takes you to a website dedicated to providing you with support as you start your Lumio journey. Underneath the graduation cap, you have the Edit Class button that gives you a few options for customizing your class experience here. And then right next to that, you have your class ID, which is the number that you would share with your students if you want them to connect to your lesson from their device. All right, so now that we are or now that we have taken a quick tour of the home page here, I'm going to journey back over to the left side of my screen and click on that new button that I mentioned in the beginning of our tour. When you click on new, it brings you here to what I like to call a creation dashboard. And from this view, you're able to see some of the tools and features that you have available to help you build in Lumio. Notice you do still have the option to import a resource. So if you didn't select that button from the home page, no worries, you still get access to it here on the dashboard. For our time together today, I am going to start my creation with a manipulative. So if you scroll toward the bottom of the dashboard, you'll notice a section that says ready-made resources. And in that section, there's a category titled manipulative. When you click on it, it will give you access to all of the digital manipulatives here in Lumio. And you'll notice that each of them have that graduation cap I mentioned, so you can see how the manipulative works before you decide to include it in your lesson. I'm going to select the fraction tiles option. Now that I've selected that manipulative, it is being added to my file here. And I'm signed in with my Google account, so I also get a copy of my file saved in my drive. Now that I have this manipulative as part of my file, if I wanted to, I could actually interact with the tiles here at the bottom. These are all infinitely cloned, which is perfect, right? In the classroom, if you were working on a fractions unit, you wouldn't have to worry about having your complete fraction sets or losing pieces, having enough because you have it all here digitally. And with the infinite cloner feature, students are able to drag however many pieces they need to practice or complete the lesson. And that is a feature available in not only our manipulatives, but any of the regular pages here in Lumio. You have the ability to um, infinitely clone an object. So I have my fraction tiles here now. Thinking about my lesson, I would use this for students to interact with and build fractions, help them understand the concept. And then I want to give them a couple opportunities to actually practice what they're learning. So up next, what I'm going to do is add a game-based activity. And when you are in Lumio, and you're building a lesson, if you ever need to add another page, another resource, maybe you want to add a video, all you need to do is click on the plus sign in the bottom left corner. So think plus means add. When you want to add, this plus sign will take you back to that dashboard so you can select what you want to add next. My game-based activities can be found in the templates category. And if I go to the far right end, I can see 12 game-based activity templates are available for me to choose from. Again, there's that graduation cap, and I am going to create a match 'em up. Match 'em up is great for one-to-one correspondence. So if maybe you're working on vocabulary or math facts, uh, what else? Maybe even science. This would be a great activity for you to use. And in my case, I am going to match my fraction terms or names with a model. And when you are creating a match 'em up, you'll create your matches going across. So I have one whole here as the fraction, and now I just need to add my one whole model. To do that, I could add text, or since I actually want a visual for this, I could upload an image that I have saved to my device or do an online search. And I do actually have some pictures saved. So let's see, just going to select my one whole image there and then okay. And so now I have one whole, the fraction, one whole, the model. And I'll just continue to do that for 1/2 and 1/3. And then 1/3. Again, you're able to upload images or you can do an online search. So now I have all of the information that I'd like to enter for this activity. I've only created 3 pairs, but you do have the ability to create up to 10. Over on the right-hand side, I can decide how I would like the answers to be checked. whether it is instantly, which means when students make a match, it will check it right on the spot. And if it is incorrect, it will return it to the bank for them to try again. Or I can do it when prompted, which will allow students to make all of their matches and then they would check it at the end. I'll go ahead and leave it as instant and then press next. This allows me to select a theme that I would like for my activity. And there are quite a few options for you to choose from here. But if you don't see something that you're interested in, or maybe you have a particular image that you'd like to use to go along with your theme of study or unit of study, you have the option to upload it. Just select custom. I'm going to go with the firefly and press finish. And now my activity has been created. Right. So just to recap, what I've done so far is I've added a digital manipulative from the dashboard. That's my first page. And then I added a game-based activity, which is the match 'em up. Once your activity is created, if you'd like to preview it so that you can see what it would look like for your learners, there is a big preview button in the center that you can select, and that will show you how the activity will look. So one whole, one whole. I'm going to exit that preview. And I have another activity that I would like to add to the file. Again, when you're looking to add more to your lesson, you just click the plus sign in the bottom left corner. And this time I'm going to add a graphic organizer. Just like the manipulative and even the game-based activity, once you select graphic organizer, you will be able to scroll through, see the different options that are there, and select the one that you would like to use. And of course, there is that graduation cap in the top right corner. I selected the content mapping. And for this, I'm just going to create a activity for students to complete that goes along with our lesson on fractions. And I'm going to put a fraction in the center and then some activities in each of the boxes for them to work on. For me to add text to this graphic organizer, I could wait until I'm delivering the lesson and maybe I want to annotate or mark it up live with my students, or I could build it beforehand, which is what I want to do today. For me to do that, you'll notice there is a toolbar at the top of my page. And if I need to add text, I would click on the capital A. That would allow me to add written text. So if I wanted to type it out, I also have a pencil here. So if I wanted to write, draw, maybe do some highlighting, I have the ability to do so with that feature. I'm going to go ahead and use my text tool, and I'm going to just write my fraction. Now, this one is very tiny. I'm just going to use my text bar here to increase the size. Oops, there we go. I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to duplicate this and make this a 4. So once you have a text box on your page, if you want to create additional text in that same size and same font, you would just select that text. And then in the top right corner, you'll notice a menu. Duplicate will create a copy. Right, so I'm going to duplicate it again and just drag it over to my top box here. And this one will be name. This is too big. So I'm going to have students name the fraction. Bam. And then I'm going to duplicate again. This would also be a great time to use the infinite cloner feature. Name, we'll do model. Right click, infinite cloner. Now I can just drag my text. This one will be a sentence. And then numerator. And denominator. Alrighty. So I've added my fraction in the center. And then in the boxes along the side, I would have students name the fraction, create a model for the fraction, identify the numerator and denominator of the fraction, and then see if they can write a sentence about that fraction. Now, this would be great as an independent activity, but it could also be a collaborative activity that students work on together. So with that in mind, I'm just going to do a recap of the slides that we've added. Again, this was a graphic organizer from the dashboard, and I was able to add text to it using my toolbar here at the top. Right above that, we have our game-based activity. This is a match 'em up, but there are 11 other options that you can choose from for you to create a game for your students. And then our first page was a digital manipulative, and in this case, we used the fraction tiles. And as a reminder, those tiles are infinitely cloned.
Asha, would you mind just showing that dashboard one more time for our users in the chat?
Sure. So if you needed to access the dashboard again, maybe you want to add something else. When you are in editing mode, which is what we're in currently, all you need to do is click on the plus sign in the bottom left corner, and that'll bring you back to the dashboard. If you wanted to access this dashboard from your Lumio homepage, just click on the New button that can be found near the top left corner.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. So now I did mention that, I wanted that last page to possibly be a collaborative activity. These fraction tiles, I would likely want students to interact with independently. But the way the page is currently set up is for students to only be able to view it on their device. So if as the teacher, I just wanted to do some modeling and, show them how to use these fraction tiles, this is perfect for that. Students would be able to see as I, manipulate the tiles on the screen. But for them to actually be able to interact with it for themselves, I do need to convert this into an activity. And you'll notice in the bottom center of my page, there is a note that says this page is view only on student devices. So as a default in Lumio, when you are building and, creating a lesson, your pages will be view only. And all you need to do is convert them so that students can not only see what you're doing, but also be able to interact with it for themselves. To do that from here, if you go to the top right corner, to the right of that toolbar that we have in the center, you'll notice a magic wand. If you click on that magic wand, it will give you three options. You can create an individual handout, which will give each student their own copy of that page, kind of like a digital worksheet. You could create a group workspace if you wanted them to collaborate in small groups, or create a whole class whiteboard. This is great if you want to maybe do like a brainstorming session or get everybody's feedback in one space. The whole class whiteboard is a great option for that. And you'll notice yet again, those graduation caps are there. So I know I'm saying a lot and I'm covering a lot of information, but just remember that you have those graduation caps so that when you go back and you really start building, if you need any support, you have it built right into Lumio. I'm going to make these fraction tiles an individual handout. And so now when I present this lesson, every student will have their own set of fraction tiles to manipulate and practice with. Jumping down to page 3. This one, I want students to be able to collaborate with one another on. So instead of making it a handout, I'm actually going to make it a group workspace. And to make this page even more powerful, I'm going to attach instructions using the instructional audio feature. The instructional audio feature can be found right next to that magic wand, and it looks like someone speaking. If you click on that, it will allow you to record up to 5 minutes of sound. So that way, if you did want to provide instructions or maybe provide students with an overview, perhaps you're sharing this lesson with a student that was absent, whatever it is, as long as you can say it within 5 minutes, you will be able to record that message using the instructional audio feature. And you can record on every page of your lesson if you would like. So if you needed to do more than one, you have that option. Hi, learners. Work with your teammates to identify the fraction, create a model for the fraction, identify the numerator and denominator, and also write a sentence about the fraction. Once you're done with your recording, you can pause it to review. And if you need to add more, you have the option to do so. You can also delete and start over. To attach your recording to the page, just press add. And now I can see my audio recording here in the top right corner. Okay, so students would have access to this when they are in the lesson. Now that I have my audio, I'm going to convert this because remember, I want this to be an activity that students collaborate with their peers on. So magic wand it is, and I'm selecting the workspace option. Now that this is a workspace, when students are connected, I'll be able to form teams, and within those teams, they'll have a shared copy of this page to collaborate on. And let's see, chat. Okay, thank you, Dima. Alrighty, so I think I'm done building my lesson. I have the graphic organizer, game-based activity, and also a manipulative. I guess it would be useful to have a title page. So I'm just going to create one really quickly by clicking on the ellipses or three dots that can be found in the bottom right corner of each of your slides. If you click on those three dots, it'll give you the option to instantly add a blank page. You could duplicate that particular slide, or you could delete it. I'm just going to add a new blank page and click and drag to rearrange it. Again, using my toolbar at the top, I'm just going to type my title and we'll name this Intro to Fractions. Voila. I know it's a very basic title page, but I'm keeping it simple. All right, so again, I was able to add that text using my toolbar here at the top. With that being said, I'm going to bring my cursor over to the left side of my screen, and right next to the Finish Editing button, I do have the option to title this. So I'm going to change it from Untitled to Intro to Fractions, and then just press Finish Editing. Once you press Finish Editing, you'll be taken back to your Lumio homepage. When you're ready to present this lesson to your learners, just click to open. Now, I am presenting my lesson and I'm doing it from my laptop, but let's say, you're doing this from your smart panel or your front of room display. Students would be able to look and see it from your display. But again, you want to engage them from their device. You are able to do so with Lumio just by sharing your class ID with them. I was able to access my class ID from the Lumio homepage. Once you start presenting, you can also access your class ID by clicking on the second icon from the top. It looks like two students right next to each other. When you click on that icon, you'll notice your class ID. And there's also an arrow that you can click on, which will create a little pop out. And that will clearly show your students what they need to do in order for them to get connected to your lesson. So you can see we have a QR code option. They could also go to the website hellosmart.com, just typing it out and entering your class ID. Or if you're using like a Google Classroom or some type of LMS, you can actually copy and paste your unique class joining link, and students would be able to click on that to instantly get connected. As students get connected, you'll notice a counter that updates. So I can see over on the left side, that same icon where I found my class ID. It's showing me the number 3. So up to 4. So that lets me 5. That lets me know that I have 5 participants connected. And if I click on that icon, I can see who the students or participants are, right? So if you're doing this with your learners and you have 22 students in the class, you can keep your eye out until that reaches 22. But you can also take a quick look at the list here to see what students are missing. All righty. So those of you that are connected, you should see Intro to Fractions not only on the screen that I'm sharing, but also in the separate tab or window that you connected to my class on. And as the teacher, I have access to a toolbar here on my left that allows me to interact with the slide that I'm on. So first icon looks like a finger, that is your cursor. So if I needed to move any object around on the page, I would be able to do so, and you're able to see that movement on your device. Right underneath that, there's that pencil icon that we saw in editing mode. So if I wanted to write or highlight, I could do so. And again, you see those changes in real time on your device. See, I'm going to write a fraction. Bam. Underneath the pencil tool, you do have an eraser, the capital A if I wanted to add text. Math is fun. And then the icon underneath that, it looks like a book with a speaker. That is actually the immersive reader feature. And immersive reader allows your students to have text read to them in a variety of languages. So it's an awesome support for your English language learners or even your emergent readers. When students click on that icon, it will highlight the text on the page that can be read, and then they're able to click on that text to actually have it read to them. And again, it does support multiple languages, so it's a really awesome feature for those learners that may be learning English. And then the last icon that I have in this section just looks like a circular arrow, and that will allow me to reset the page. So it'll take it back to its original state. So it's a quick and easy way for you to clear a page if you're not wanting to save the changes that you made. For the sake of time, I'm going to keep us moving. And the next page that we have to interact with is the fraction tiles manipulative. And this is the one that I converted into a handout. So each of the 5 of you that are connected have your own copy of this fraction tile manipulative to interact with. And if I click on student progress, I'm able to click in to each student that has started interacting with this page, and I can see what they've been up to. So if I click on Diane, I can see that she has created equivalent fractions, 1/2 and 2/4. And you'll notice on the left side of that handout, there is a toolbar. Students have access to that toolbar, and so does the teacher. And as the teacher, I can provide feedback to the student in real time. So I'm just going to write a little note here for Diane saying great start. And she is able to see that on her device. I'll look into one more. Kara. Woohoo, I can see Kara's been busy too, and she's showing that 1 whole is the same as 2 halves. And I'm going to give Kara a thumbs up. Right. Fantastic. Now, I am clicking into each of these names here live and in the moment. But we know when you're in the classroom, right, there's not always time to do things like this. So the great thing about the handout, the workspace, whole class whiteboard, it automatically saves the work that your students do. So if you're not able to take a look at it during class, all you have to do is reopen the file at a later time, whenever that may be, and you'll be able to view your students' work. So maybe it's after class, maybe it's after school, during your break, whenever you decide. It does not have to be right in the moment because their work is saved. Let's see, moving on to our match 'em up. This is the one where students would be matching the fraction name to the fraction model. And I did quickly show this once I built the activity, so I won't spend too much time here, but Match 'em Up is one of the activities in Lumio that gives you student data. So kind of like what I was doing with the handout, I can click in and see what my students have matched, and I can also see what their score was based on their first attempt. And then last but not least, we have our workspace, which is the opportunity for students to work in small groups. As the teacher, you do have to set this activity up. So I'm going to go ahead and press setup. And this will allow me to select how many teams I'd like to create. Um, since I have 6, I'll just make 2 groups of 3. Okay, so you can see it forms the teams for me. But if I did need to make any adjustments, I can just click and drag. So I'm going to swap Kara and Diane. And now they are on new teams. And when I select Start Workspace, you all will be able to work on a shared copy of that particular page. As the teacher, I get access to a dashboard where I can see my teams. So I have team 1 and team 2. And if I wanted to actually view the work that they've done, I would just click on their workspace. Now, this is the page that I attached an instructional audio clip to. So all of you that are connected, you should see the icon on the right side of your screen that will allow you to play the instructions that I provided. Let's check out team 2 really quickly. Okay, and you'll notice the layout is similar to the handout. So over on the left side of the screen, students have access to that toolbar, which will allow them to move objects around. They can use the pencil to write or highlight. They have the ability to add shapes and images, as well as type. And what's really cool about the workspace and even the whole class whiteboard, it will show you what student provided what input. So, for example, if I wanted to know who from team 2 added 1/4 here, I would just click on that contribution. And in the top right corner, there's a drop down menu that lets me know that this was added by Candia. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And I can move over to the model that's being drawn, click on that right arrow and see that that was added by Pam. So you can still hold your students accountable, although they are collaborating in a shared space. Okay, so that's a pretty neat feature of the workspace. And again, like the handout, this work does automatically save. So if you don't have time to go through and check each contribution during class, you can always revisit it. All right, and that was a quick tour of our lesson here. I hope you got to participate and try something out, even if it wasn't everything. But just to recap, we had the workspace, the game-based activity, as well as the individual handout. All right, so we're going to prepare to close out and provide you all with some resources. I know there was a lot of information covered today, but I want to remind you, you will be receiving a recording so you can go back and review this content at your own pace. So no worries there. Now, when you're ready to end a lesson in Lumio as the teacher, in the top left corner, you'll notice 3 lines, and the top option is End Lesson. Another option you have in that menu is to share, and that is what you would click if you wanted to provide a copy of your lesson to a colleague or share with your students for them to work on maybe at home. Maybe they started working on a handout or a workspace in class and they need to be able to finish it later on. You can provide them with the shared link for them to do so. And as long as they sign in using their school credentials, they'll be able to pick up where they left off. So I'm going to go ahead and end. And let's go back to our original file so that we can close things out. Alrighty, so hopefully now you feel ready, or maybe just a little bit ready, to try one or some of the things that you were shown today. Um, just to recap, we added a manipulative, a game-based activity, even instructional audio. And we also showed how to convert pages of your lesson so that students can interact with them. So we encourage you to try any or all of those out. And in the chat, Dima is going to provide a link to some resources. And those resources include a direct link to the Learn Lumio page, which is the ultimate graduation cap. This is where you can find resources to support your Lumio journey, not just for you, but also for parents. So if there's something that you want to share out with the parents of your students, you can find those resources there. There's also a direct link to the Lumio YouTube channel full of helpful videos. Lumio Ambassador Community. You do not need to be an expert to join this community. We are simply looking for educators that are interested in technology and want to connect with educators from across the globe. It is an awesome community for you to learn from others. So we definitely encourage you to join. And then the last link you'll see there is to the Lumio webinar page. If you're interested in learning some more, there are webinars that we host throughout the month to support your Lumio journey. If you are on social media, you can see all of our social handles down there at the bottom. We encourage you to connect with us and use the hashtag #GoLumio. Alrighty, so at this time, if there are any other questions, feel free to share them in the chat. If not, there is a survey. Oh, there it goes. Dima just provided a link to the survey for today. And once you complete that survey, it will give you access to a PD certificate. So there's something in it for you as well. Before we close out, just want to make sure you get that survey link as well as the link to the resources. Thank you, Dima, for supporting in the chat. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. We hope that you feel a little more confident in getting started with Lumio.